So yeah, as Michael said, I'm the technical director. I'm founder also. I'm a certified passive house designer and quite enthusiastic about the solutions. And that's probably wasn't really aware, Michael, that that's exactly how I approach things, but I'm sure it is. It's a solutions-based kind of system. And yeah, we find it quite interesting to see what kind of challenges are presented in different regions and how we can maybe develop products that help to maybe make things a bit easier on the construction sites. So a little bit more about us. We're an Irish company with a global presence. We operate in North America, UK, Ireland, and Europe. We're founded by architects and engineers, and that's been really important for us in terms of, I suppose, how we interact with architects and engineers on the other side. It's been really helpful, and we seem to be able to understand your point of view a little bit easier. We've always been kind of closely connected to construction itself, but I would say our change came about when we became passive house designers, and building physics was really the area that we, I suppose, found ourselves drawn to. And within that, there was a lot of solutions that for us weren't maybe good enough for our area or appropriate for different reasons, and that brought us down the route of the, I suppose, the manufacturing, the distribution, and being more specific about products for passive house construction. We retain the technical expertise and kind of high quality support, and it's fair to say that the most interesting thing we do is R&D, so we're definitely always looking for new and interesting solutions that can help. So a little bit back now on airtightness. Why do we build airtight? The one everyone is on board with is to lower energy costs, and no one really disputes that. But maybe some other reasons that help. So to improve comfort levels, that can be a huge one in different I suppose, climate zones. So a house with a draft compared to a house without any drafts, there's a really significant difference. So you might find in that house that has some leaks or drafts, they may need to, I suppose, have a much higher overall temperature in that house. So it actually works back to lower energy costs and comfort. I suppose these days, indoor air quality is really key. And air tightness, very much kind of helps us, I suppose, get the best out of our performance on our ventilation systems, but also helps to control mold, keep pollutants, VOCs, from entering the construction from the building fabric, and PM 2.5 and 10 from outside. And I suppose as an engineer, I find I focus a lot on structural integrity. If we get the right air tightness and the right vapor control system in place, we're really, I suppose, changing or ensuring the longevity of the building. So really, really important factors. We're working off a smart system, and kind of what I want to do is go a little bit further on what we mean when we say that. So the VARA airtight systems, they're a sustainable key building component. They're engineered to be a versatile and highly efficient solution for all insulation types. When we say moisture variable, we mean that the characteristics of an air and vapor control layer guarantees maximum protection in the building envelope where moisture levels are critical. Adaptive, we see it as a human skin, and we refer to the self-regulation between the exterior and the interior of the building. So it's automatic and adapts relative to the conditions. For relative humidity, main target of the product is to help the building internally to stay in a position of kind of 40 to 60 or 70% relative humidity. We can control the interstitial condensation by using a smart vapor controller. The thermal performance, the right quality of air and vapor control there prevents heat loss. Kind of an obvious one, but it's a nice way to bring all of the characteristics of the product together. So how does a variable technology work? It's a short visual to kind of show that the moisture protection throughout the winter, the product has the ability to close. In summertime, when we've got, I suppose, heat and higher levels of relative humidity outside, it actually forces the VARA Plus or VARA fluid to open its pores and facilitate drying to the inside. There's a little a short video here that'll kind of help to illustrate this a little bit better. The system can work in masonry or timber frame construction. I'd actually let the video do the talking for this section, but it's a nice way to describe how the pores open summertime, facilitate that drying. And in winter, they'll tighten up and start to protect the building shell from the humid conditions internally. This is, I suppose, a technical slide. It's an output from Woofy. So we like and use Woofy a great deal. It's a way to be quite sure of how a system will work over an extended period of time. It's a dynamic modeling tool. And kind of what we're showing here is it's an extreme situation. It's a high altitude, 40-degree roof pitch with a closed membrane on the outside. And we're showing how VARA Plus can compare to other ways that people might have considered achieving airtightness, from OSB, standard variable, a fixed perm, or a PE. And in this kind of extreme situation, VARA Plus is the only one that actually facilitates drying and a safe system. So about the products, I guess, on the sheet applied or the membranes themselves, they're reinforced, so quite strong for cellulose insulation or whatever kind of installation you want to use. It's quite open. VARA Plus has the widest SD range on the market, really giving it kind of maximum summer drying and winter protection. We view the overall range as a system, and so our tapes are also variable. So VARA Seal facilitates a complete variable system. So for the connections of the membrane, but also for windows, the product you see in the middle there is VARASEAL X. It has adhesive on two sides, so can be pre-applied to windows. Um, this tape is actually quite interesting. It can also be rendered or stuccoed. The fluid applied version of VARA, same type of functions in that it can facilitate drying, but a really, really interesting product for large commercial projects and for some of the trickier retrofit projects as well. It can adhere to a wide range of products, but yeah, quite open in how you can use it. And there's a fluid applied spray version and also a brush. The brush product is used to seal gaps, connections around timbers, joints, that kind of thing. For those of you kind of haven't seen how these products look when they're applied, hopefully this is okay. But yeah, the product goes on in 2 layers when you spray it, or it's best to go in 2 layers. That would be a, generally kind of 2 layers equal size, or we can use a primer layer and go with a thicker layer secondly. If the surface is good enough, it can be sprayed in one go. This is the brush applied. It has some reinforced fibers that help it to fill gaps. It can maintain its strength, if there is an expected movement joint in the construction. So that would be the products. I wanted to take you through a couple of projects, some pretty different ones. The first is in from Kevin Brennan. Brennan, it was I suppose for me, when I saw these projects and what I see afterwards, and Michael, obviously, of course, I should say, but yeah, really, really interesting. So we know kind of how our products work and, how good they can be, but yeah, we really respect the level of detail that goes into it from an architectural point of view. And then afterwards, really what Kevin and his team are dealing with in the flesh on site. So, it's far from an easy application. This project kind of had everything that was challenging, from a basement to, really old timber joists with separation joints in them, low quality brick, a real challenge to work with from an airtightness point of view. So you can kind of see, if you like, a work in progress here where the VARA fluid has been applied to the external walls. The membrane VARA Plus is beginning to be seen where floor joints are connected. It's I suppose, probably doesn't do it a service to change it from this to this, but yeah, a substantial amount of work in between the two. You can see here the complete VARA system being used in the flat roof ceiling, and the beginnings of a window preparation on the right-hand side. Kevin and his team chose to use the VARA X, that is to pre-apply tapes to the window. That was for the inside, and for the outside, the other version of VARA Seal was used to connect, I suppose, before it was stuck out. You can see the final result, the team that achieved it, and some of the tools that the guys used to help to find the air leaks. I think the figure of 1.1 is really impressive. I think there was a couple of little things in that build that made it even more challenging than normal, but I mean 1.1 from where that building came is really, really impressive. The next is a project from Vermont. Quite different time of year. I suppose we like this one because it does show the tapes being used in pretty extreme cold conditions, but also the air tightness layer being applied from the exterior. Quite a nice way to do it, so kind of built from the outside. Same thing with the VARA Plus system, ready for cellulose insulation. And this one again, they achieved an air tightness of 1, and those calculated savings based on that, based on the air tightness itself. So Q&A, don't know how quick or slow I've gone, Zach, hopefully not too bad.
No, that was awesome. It was fast. It was great.
Was it? Yeah. Okay.
Yes, it was. It was.
That was perfect.
Yeah, that was nice. Yeah, we have some questions from the audience. Should we go into those at this point?
Yeah, for sure.
Yep,
yeah, I think Kevin is on site, has joined as well, so it would be cool to get him to involve. I know that's a tricky project.
Yeah. Okay.
And by the way, I think that project is below 1 now. I think we were having some issues with some doors at the time.
Yeah,
that's now fixed. But it shows you kind of what every little detail makes a big difference.
Yeah.
But that was a good one.
Cool.
Great. Well, the first question we have is from Paul Heron. Paul, are you there? And can you unmute yourself and fire away?
Yeah. My question really was how this product performs in hot and humid climates. I wasn't clear on the entire assembly detail, and I see the drawings to the interior, but I was curious, if you have a hot, humid assembly, I also worry about letting that hot, humid air in.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's a great question, and I guess it brings me back to Woofy. So with a question like that, I would tend to look for more information, but I'm sure we would need to look at it differently. So for those kind of climates, it's likely that things would act in reverse. So generally, I'd ask you to send me the specifics, the actual location, and we could take some bespoke Woofy analysis to decide how the suggested construction would actually work in practice, and if we needed to make any changes to have it working in a good way.
Awesome. Thanks, Paul. So we have a question for Kevin, and I think this would be a great time for just Kevin, if you wouldn't mind sharing your experience with the product on that job. The specific question for you, Kevin, is from Harvey. So maybe you can start a little bit, Kevin, and then Harvey will have you come in and ask your question after a bit. Okay. So Kevin, you first. Oh, you know what, Kevin? We can't hear you. Sorry, that's not working. Yeah, let's try one more time.
How about now? Can you guys hear me now?
Yep, that's better. Thank you.
Great. Bluetooth headset's misfunctioning. So it's been great working with Hugh and his team. We started out working with Hugh with the first version of their fluid applied air barrier, and him and his team flew out the inventor of the product all the way from Belgium to come train us. So that level of support was really there for us. to be working hand in hand with the guy who created the product in the land of where Passive House is mandated in Belgium, and they use this interior fluid applied air barrier on masonry buildings to hit Passive House level air tightness, and to work with the gentleman who created the product was just invaluable for us. He really gave us some great support techniques on what machine to purchase, what tips to use. So it was a great experience. And then on those projects, we use the rest of the Partel system, where I'm really big on using all of the components of the system to make sure you're hitting your air tightness goals. We're 2 projects we're working with the Partel system, and everything is working great in comparison to the other air tightness air barrier manufacturers that are out there. The products are very similar. They are applied the same. Some of the products, they're very similar in their aspects to them. Personally, I really like the fleece back tape. It has almost like a really heavy amount of adhesive on it, and our construction sites are dirty and dusty, even though we clean them, and that tape sticks to just about everything. So we're really happy with the VARA seal tape, and it comes in multiple sizes, which helps us a lot as well. As far as my background goes, I've been teaching the Passive House tradesperson course for almost 7 years now, and we get to see a lot of the products that are out there during the training, and it's been a great experience. So as far as being a contractor out in the field, we're out on many of the retrofit projects by Ingui, doing our own blower door testing, chasing down leaks, and that's been one of our strong points. So hand in hand, doing the work and also doing the testing and learning the lessons of how the products get put on. So it's been pretty valuable. So Harvey, I have a question.
It's possible you just answered it, but Harvey, yeah.
Yeah, no, Kevin, thank you. You did, and I don't want to steal somebody else's thunder, because my follow-up question was Thomas's asked it, so I can let Thomas go. But thank you very much for answering it.
No problem. Best of luck on that tradesperson exam.
I'll be calling you later. Trust me, I'll be calling you later.
All right. So Lyle, you had a question about extreme cold and seismic conditions.
Yeah. So I'm a commercial designer in Fairbanks, Alaska, and we've been using fluid applied for a while, but I've just always been a little skeptical about how well they actually perform with the extreme temperatures we get and with seismic movement. And I think there are standard ASTM, testing, but for it's cold temperature flexibility and crack bridging, whatever else it's called. But I haven't been able to see anything in those test standards that looks like it kind of meets the extreme conditions that I think we see in the interior of Alaska and northern Alaska and extreme cold climates. So can you speak to kind of how this is tested and how you think the fluid applied or the brush applied cracks or bridges those cracks?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think we always need to be careful to use the right products for the right type of construction and climate. The fluid applied products, the VARA fluid, are water-based, so that's definitely a factor in where you would choose to use it. So it is subject to frost while it's drying. So I would say there is some limitations in your area as to when you could use it. It's why you might choose to use the sheet applied or the roll membrane products in place of that. And I would also say to build in, seismic crack or movement joints, it's a lot easier to do that with the sheet applied and the taping system. So the products themselves are very much kind of interchangeable as to where you could use them. And for you, your advantages would be with the tape and membrane system, I would say. The tape adhesive can also allow a little bit of additional movement, whereas it can slide, whereas the fluid applied is adhered directly to a product. So again, I would say you'd be leaning more towards tape and membrane system.
Thanks a lot.
Cheers.
All right. So Robert, you had a question about paint seals.
Yeah, I think it was just along the similar lines as to the previous question and answer, really. just using the correct product in the different scenarios.
Great. So you feel like you're good? You had your question answered? Okay. Okay, great. Cool. So Kyle, you have a question about differences with other products.
Hi there. I think it was sort of already answered by Kevin back there, but I'm pretty familiar with the ProClima line of products, and it seems like your products are very similar in look. I've heard of your products, but I've never seen or played with them yet.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I guess I know probably a good way to compare products might be to look for an independent test, and there's quite a good test on the Passive House Institute's component database. You can see our products tested there. I have to try to be diplomatic. I know our products really well. I know what they do, and we're really confident with those, and that's a good external test. So yeah, I know we use the best quality kind of right the way through the products. We've got really wide ranges within the products for what they can do, and we're quite targeted on longevity as well. But yeah, I would kind of direct you towards that, and you can search by results to see which products are looking good.
How about samples?
Yeah, by all means, reach out. Yeah, we look after you quite well in that. So yeah, if you send a quick inquiry, we'll send a good quality sample box to have a play, see what they're like.
All right, thank you.
Cheers.
Awesome. Thomas Meehan, you're up next.
Okay. I was wondering about the price. How does the price compare, the VARA products compare to other products that are similar? What's the price comparison?
Yeah, I would guess they're all probably in a similar space. I know we tend to be competitive or commercially sound. We're selling direct in the US, so by all means, just give us the inquiry and we'll do our best to look after you.
Okay, thanks. Thank you.
Great. We have another question that I just got texted to me. So, how well does your product stand up over time for new construction as well as for existing? We're working on an older building that still moves a bit and has materials that definitely expand and contract at different rates.
Great. Yeah. So like on the longevity of the materials themselves, our adhesive basically doesn't age. So we're quite sure what it's attached to will be the failure point, or change or renovation or something like that. So no issue in that front. I would say choosing the right products to facilitate that movement and the right connections would be the most important thing. And there's different products within the system that can facilitate more movement. So probably to check in with us. I feel like I'm saying that all the time, but feel free to reach out. Let me know the detail on the question, and we can get into it and see what's the best fit for you to get a good result.
Sure. Another one was, could you describe your support to the contractor, not just help with getting the right items, but when there are conditions that we have questions on? Yeah,
I mean, in terms of availability, I guess on that and how we might, that's pretty open. I mean, I suppose when you look to get a good question or a question answered from someone, you hope that the person on the other side of the phone has a good understanding of what you're doing, and I'm sure that's one thing we're really good at. So you'll get good advice, good technical knowledge, and ideally we won't waste your time by not understanding what you're talking about as well. So yeah, again, feel free to reach out on that.
Nice. And a question I have is, what are you working? What are you working on new? What's coming down the pipe for you?
We're really focused on thermal bridging at the moment. That's a really interesting area. So structural thermal bridging. We do have a nice product that's completely recycled, and there's that's an area for sure that would expand in 2021.
Nice. All right. Well, we've gotten through our questions. Here's another one. Great. So, a number of them. Excellent. So, Gennady, why don't we start with your question here?
So the temperature range, is it?
Yes, indeed.
So in terms of the wide temperature ranges, you can use our tapes down to, hopefully somebody can help me with the Celsius Fahrenheit I'm not sure, -10 Celsius. So for sure in freezing, it'll work. The reality of kind of our adhesives is that the tack will reduce as the temperature decreases. So it'll still stick, but it won't be -30 to +5. Okay, so we do have one product that'll work really well in actual freezing. It's a pre-cured adhesive. So for that -30, there is a solution. But yeah, more generally, the tapes and the acrylic adhesives, the solid acrylics, are down to about -10 Celsius.
Great. And that's 14 Fahrenheit, -10.
Yeah, yeah.
So James Bill, you're up next.
So longevity. How do you actually test for that? You're only a few years old, and we're expecting these things for burying them inside the walls. And how do you know that it's going to last forever?
Yeah, it's accelerated aging testing. So it's kind of the same principle for any products that might be exposed to, I suppose, to UV, to temperature differences, to humidity. So what tends to happen is this exists in Europe, a defined aging standard. So it's a set of processes where the tapes and their adhesives will be tested over time on a stressed basis, and that is defined as an equivalent. There's a relationship between the stress time and the expected lifespan of the product. So it's a combination of environmental chambers, UV aging, fans, and continuous testing of the products themselves at different points in that aging process.
Makes sense. All right. So that, I think right now it's an open floor. If anybody else has another question, now's the time to ask it. Otherwise, I think we'll so
there's one on humidity there, I guess.
Oh, great. Yeah, go for it. I missed it. Thank you.
Yeah. Humidity is great. Yeah, never any problems with that. It's quite easy for the Partel adhesives to work well in that kind of range. And I'm jealous of your summer temperature, I should say.
It looks like I missed one about warm climates. Is that right, Michael? That's what Michael is saying. Maybe.
Yeah. Someone was asking, I think earlier in the chat about using it in warm climates versus cold and how it performs.
Warm climates are easy, to be honest. They don't have the same problems that the cold does. So yeah, it's, I would say, uncomplicated warm climates for us. Except, maybe we need to, I suppose, check with Woofy, if there's what the assembly buildup would be. Should we change that, or would we need to adjust it?
All right, we're getting a number of more questions here. So Paul, do you want to pose your question, Paul Grassfield?
Yes, I was just wondering how the membrane actually reduces the porosity, its own porosity. Yep. Is that based on temperature? And if so, how does AC come into play?
It's more about what's going on outside. So it is temperature and humidity. So yeah, typically in winter time we'll have lower temperatures. Could be that humidity is high, but when that air is heated up, it'll have a low saturation of water vapor compared to what's inside the house. So it's really about the change in vapor drive from inside to outside. And we get, in most locations with seasons, I guess, we get quite a wide variance from summer to winter. So you'll see significant changes in the amount of water vapor and relative humidity in summertime to winter. And it's that forces the change.
Both temperature and humidity.
Yeah. They're related. They're very much, they're always connected.
Mm-hmm. Okay, great. Thanks.
Thanks, Paul. Harvey.
Just quickly, availability in North America and specifically Canada, and distribution, depending on geography, please.
Yeah, I think our worst case would be about 5 days to any of those locations. Tri-state area is next day or 2 days. Canada maybe up to 5, or across the country, but it's pretty good. We haven't had any issues like that.
So are you based in, do you have a distributor in Canada, or it's mostly in
No.
the northeastern United States and it has to get
Yeah,
shipped
we
up?
warehouse in Connecticut.
Oh,
So we
okay.
don't stock separately in Canada, so we are sending from Connecticut right now. So yeah, with a little bit of planning, it's normally fine. We do send to Canada already.
Yeah, no, I've just ordered some stuff from the States, and it's a coin flip of how long it takes. That's why I was asking. That's all.
Ah,
Thank
okay.
you.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, well, you know, UPS could take a month. It gets
Yeah.
stopped at the border. So
Yeah.
I guess it all depends on what bridge they're crossing at that point. But thank
Yeah.
you for the
Yeah.
answer. Cheers.
Okay. Cheers.
Great. Wesley, can you ask your question, please?
Yeah, great talk so far. I'm just curious, and I know I like the idea of circular economy design principles, and I'm wondering what your products might have to offer relative to that ideology.
Yeah, it's a good question. So the thermal bridging products will sit quite well in that space. If people are honest about tapes and membranes, they're laminated products, so they tend to have different products combined, and as such, they really aren't recyclable. So what they have to do with the longevity of the product is what's important. So yeah, we need them to last for a long time, and that really is their contribution. So we're comfortable or happy in that space that the products are of a substantial enough quality that they can make a contribution to the building in terms of energy efficiency and longevity. But yeah, ultimately, combined products like that are not recyclable.
Great, thank you.
Can't upcycle them, no upcycling capability, sort of separations, no separation capability.
It's not something our tapes are good at doing, separating, I would say. So,
you're right, they're
yeah.
chemically combined.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
Yeah. Wesley, I'm enjoying the artwork behind you. Very, very nice.
Thanks.
Yeah, that's great. We have a question from Devin Basher, but Devin's connection is spotty. So the question is, one of the challenges they were able to overcome and learn from on this project using Partel products. Maybe it's what
are the challenges?
What are the challenges? I think that's what this is. And he also says, "Thank you, great presentation." You've got lots of thanks in the chat.
I'm not sure. Is Kevin still on? I'm not sure, but I know from speaking with him that I suppose back to the real world of an installer having to get in and get the job done and get out. Speed and labor was something that it's one of the main reasons the fluid applied, or the VARA fluid, is a good product. So it dries quite quickly, can be applied quite quickly. It's not like a silver bullet for air tightness, but it does speed up the process.
Great. Well, I hopefully that did it for you, Devin. Any other questions? This is fantastic. So I think we're going to close. Oh, here we go. Can the fluid? So Gennady asks, can the fluid be applied to styrofoam?
Yeah, it can. It's pretty broad like that. So you can actually apply it to any kind of insulations that have enough density to hold the product, and that could be from a wood fiber to styrofoam, spray foam, kind of all of the above.
Awesome. I feel like I'm an auctioneer and going once, going twice. Any other questions? Going once, going twice. All right. I think thank you so much, Hugh. This is fantastic, welcome. And really engaged audience as well. So it's great. That's great to see. Okay. I'm gonna make one announcement and then hand it off to Michael to close it out. But and there is a question: is your presentation deck available? Can we share that with the attendees? Okay.
We can do that. Yeah.
Kevin says sold. All right. So here I'm gonna just remind folks that we have the happy hour, of course, next week. But the next kind of really special event, similar to this one, is our Passive House Prefab Summit. So I'm going to share the registration link in chat, but this is going to be on November 12th, and it should be a really fun and interesting event. Thanks everyone for being here. Really appreciate it. And here's Michael.
Yeah, thanks. This was great. Thanks, Zach. Thanks, Hugh. Nice and smooth. It worked out perfect. Great presentation. And yeah, I have to tell you, I've enjoyed working with you on the projects. It's been great to kind of see you and Kevin interact as well. I've learned a lot. So thanks for sharing it on the platform. This has been fun. And thanks to everyone for attending. Yeah, it's been good.
Yeah, thanks all. Appreciate that. Yeah, and thanks, Michael. Thanks, Zach.
Cool. All right. Have a good one, guys.
Yes.
Zach, you're muted.
I know. Sorry. Be well, everybody. I had to do that right before the end of the presentation. That's perfect. Thanks, everybody. See you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.
Cheers.